Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Brand+Shred, where every single week we bring you somebody brilliant, somebody incredibly talented, somebody who's a visionary, who's a leader, and who's an innovator. And they're literally, I've never said this before, but I don't think there's a better example than Brian. Not only is he a close friend and somebody I admire, he's a mentor, but he has done such an incredible job building a brand, getting himself recognized, getting himself and leading from a position of like somebody who could be extremely arrogant. Brian has built such a massive personal brand over the last couple of years. And he's done it in such a way that truly, like, I don't want to use the word jealousy, but I admire him so intently. And I cannot tell you how humbled I am, how excited I am to have Brian joining me on the show. Brian, how are you, my friend? So good to have you here.
I was looking around. I was like, whoa, okay. I will accept the compliments. I've learned to accept those, and I will try to live up to that. But man, equally, I love when we first met, and you know this, man, like I could just tell your energy, such an amazing person. And I'm thankful we're connected because look, man, that's how we all learn and grow together. So I'm excited to be on with you.
Dude, it's so true. You and I were talking about that as we were kind of getting ready for it. There are certain people you meet along your journey of what we do in whatever profession you're in. You meet certain people kind of along the way that you just know, whether you touch base with them weekly, monthly, or even a couple times a year, which you and I, we touch base. We see how, one another are doing, but you have people you meet on your journey that are absolutely champions of what you do. They support you no matter what. And you just know they're incredible people. And you're one of those. I know, like, you've been one of those for me. You've been such a support. And when I reached out to you, you're this incredibly busy person, but even when somebody has hit the level that you have, and you're able to reach out to them and say, hey, will you take 30 minutes to come on Brand+Shred? Will you do this? And this just an enthusiastic, that it wasn't even like maybe I'll try to find time. It was an enthusiastic yes. Like, you've supported me on my journey. Those are the people you need. And especially when it comes to what we're going to be talking about today on this journey of building a brand, a journey of, building relationships and doing what we do, it does take the right people support system. So actually, let's talk about that, because you've been with incredible organizations over the year. You're with loanDepot currently. Like, it does take a really good support system. It takes a team. It takes the right people to help you to get to where you are.
Yeah, dude. Well, so I go back to this, man. Like my early days, people that don't know, is I grew up playing soccer. Like from the time I could walk, I was told that I was chasing my older brother, 5 years older, and I would go out to the soccer field. And through those years, Josh, there were a lot of coaches, probably two in particular. My club coach that stayed with me over 10 years of my career, helped me make it up to the Olympic team and national team, all that. Like, he was in my corner. And then in college, I actually had two coaches, but they were so important. And my high school coach, I could go back through all of these men and women that had an impact on my life that shaped who I am. It's no different in business. I don't know why we try to overcomplicate this. And that is where I think, as you start to build a brand, you start to figure out who you are and the support system. Like, obviously my wife and my family are right there. But man, the fun of this is if you surround yourself with great people, it's hard not for a little bit of them to rub off. And I just go, I don't have it all figured out. And I do think I have some talents and gifts that I want to make the world a better place. So I got to show up every day because I'm here to learn, but I'm also here, to distribute the talents and the opportunities that I have. So I'm thankful for that. And I'm just trying to learn, get better every day.
Oh, dude, see, and that's what I just have so much like gratitude for you sharing that, because you come from such a humble place. And again, guys, if you don't follow Brian, I recommend it. I mean, he's on TikTok now. I love seeing you on TikTok, dude. You're one of those guys. My kids see you too now. My kids are like huge fans of TikTok. They're like, oh, what's Brian going to say today? Like, you do, like, it's not just mortgage. Sometimes you get those mortgage professionals or real estate professionals like, oh, mortgage all the time. And we're going to talk more about this, but you've come from such a different place. You come from this personal development, helping, like you said, we all have these gifts and talents of helping others become better. Well, we hope we do. Like, and when we come from that genuine place of like literally sharing things that we've learned, our struggles along the way, we're hoping that it does help somebody. Maybe it will help them overcome what they're going through in that way. But that's where you come from. Yeah. That's when it comes when you're creating content, when you're speaking, because I know that's something you still do, when you're engaging with people. It literally comes from a place of like, I'm going to share something that is hopefully valuable to the rest, valuable to the audience. And it's coming from a place of just pure, genuine love and like admiration for the people that you serve. So let's talk about that, because when did this journey actually start for you? Like, when did you understand? When did you realize, like, you talk about the soccer days, but when did you understand that using this device, starting using social media, when did you actually recognize like, hey, you know what? maybe I can, like, maybe I can utilize the gifts, the God-given gifts that I've been given
Yeah.
to touch more people. When did you actually understand, like, hey, I'm going to start going on this journey?
Oh, wow. So, for those out there, you can laugh along with me because I can laugh at myself better than anybody. And so I was on LinkedIn back in like 2005, 2007, 2010, all that, right? So I end up during the recession, 2007, 2008, I lose my job. I'm at Wells, end up finding another job at Wells, which was awesome, right? So I spent almost 13 years there. So I was on LinkedIn and I kind of like, I say, I had a toe in the water. Like we were allowed to do some things. We weren't allowed to do a lot of things. And then my journey took me over to movement, and Casey and Toby and those guys are awesome. And I started to realize, wow, like they have a brand, like there's a culture, there's these things. And I started to post about the company. And I realized, wow, I'm posting about the company. People like the company. And I had this moment, and I think it was probably about 5 years ago. And this is where you'll probably laugh, is my wife, Nicole, and I, we had a joint Facebook account. Like I'll admit we had that. So
You were one of those couples, dude, that you had that joint Facebook account.
and she's like, finally, I think I'd gone on this mission trip to Guatemala and I was doing stuff, President's Club and all that. She's like, you need your own account. Like, I don't want to be friends with all the people you're friends with. You need your friends. I was like, touche, got it. So I end up getting my own Facebook account, and then I start, figuring out like Instagram, and I realized, well, I have like over here, I had a lot of people. In all fairness, like I probably had 20 or so thousand people on LinkedIn, right? Like, because I was in that business side of the world. I had no idea what was happening in these other platforms, and so I had this awareness, is what I call it, and we all have it in our life where we go, hold on, well, what if I was able to take a great company brand and like no one really knows Brian. And part of it, Josh, it was birthed out of my recruiting was like a roller coaster. Like in my role at that point, I wasn't producing anymore 5 years ago. I was like, okay, I'm attracting the wrong people sometimes. I'm hiring the wrong people. I'm not hiring enough people when I need to hire them. I'm like, but they're all on social. And I remember I had a coach that said, dude, you got to figure out how you show up. Like, who are you? You got to communicate that to the world. And I realized for myself, it is a whole heck of a lot easier for me to put something out on social. And yes, I was scared to do the videos like everybody. Like I can look back at my original videos. They're horrible. But you know what? That is a sales call. That is modern prospecting. That is building out your audience. And if I do a video, just like you said, today, that reel or that video could go out to 1,000, 10,000, 100,000. I don't even know how far it could go. It could go. And I realized the one-to-one wasn't the game anymore. And I was also attracting the wrong people because I wasn't being me and I wasn't showing up. So about 5 years ago is truly when the journey, it flipped. And I said, I need to have a personal brand supported by my company, not the other way around, not the big company brand and me being at the bottom. I inverted the pyramid and it changed everything.
I do. So let's dive into that a little bit more, because I know a lot of people, especially executives who are hearing this, and maybe even some companies and you and I both know there are some organizations where they almost are, they're timid. They're still like, well, do we want our executives putting themselves out there on Facebook for multiple reasons? And again, we respect everybody's opinion in this, but the fact that you recognized it, and again, you've been with organizations that have incredible, like you said, you mentioned movement, and now with loanDepot, there are organizations that support you in it, and then there are organizations who, again, they may reserve, they may hold you back a little bit. Yeah. Which you are why I have so much respect for you is you've been one of those leaders, one of those executives in the position, or in our industry in particular, in a position to start flipping that. Like you said, we're flipping the pyramid upside down. We need individuals to start realizing, again, company brands are great. Marketing with a company brand is different than marketing with a personal brand. And something you've done so well is marketing your personal brand. Who is Brian? Understanding you, truly why you're doing the things that you're doing. So when you made that realization, what did that actually, like you said, okay, was it a shift in like, hey, I need to start creating this type of content? Was it a shift in like, what actually made that change, and what did you start doing differently?
Yeah. So I went away from company posts straight up. And I had those probably less than 10% of my posts, like 1 out of 10. I would say, you know what? I do need to put something out there. Over time, that's evolved into, I figured out for me, my style is I love to recognize our team. I love to put that out there. Well, guess what? That is branding the company. That's recognizing our team. It's multifaceted. So I started to realize, like, what do I enjoy doing? What do I actually do in person? Because that should be me on social. And I'll tell you what I started to do online was I started to share things that I believed in, right? I would find a quote card, I would find a video. And early in my growth, I was kind of taking other people's content, honestly, right? Like I would have a quote that I liked and I would expand on it. I would read an article and go, hey guys, great article. Check this out. And then I started to realize, well, okay, that's good. Like I'm in the game. I need to now start sharing my voice. Like, what does Brian
Mm.
believe? Like, what is it that because I'm unique and I need to be able to convey that to people and share that. And so I would start doing videos.
Mm.
Dude, Josh, you know this. I mean, some of those videos, man, I was so nervous. I was scared. I was holding my camera in the
Oh,
car. I was walking at the ballpark, soccer field. Sometimes I didn't even really have that great of a message, but I told myself, if you show up, just like in sports and in my life, I've seen when I show up for long enough and I consistently work at it, I am going to get better. And
oh,
for all of you
100%.
listening, there is no shortcut to it. Like everybody's looking for the hack or how are you going to do this? Man, it is reps. It is reps in the gym. It's just showing up. So I started doing video, and over time I started to realize, okay, wow, people are attracted to that. And then when I'd have conversations, I would listen. They go, hey, Brian, I watched your video. This is what I got from it. I go, oh. So
Huh.
I listened to the audience because if you're actually sharing that, one, it's for me to help develop. Let's call it what it is. I'm trying to get better. But when I put that message out there, my intent is I'm going to inspire, motivate, educate, give someone a gift, something of knowledge or my experience. Maybe it helps them take an action or give them
Mm.
clarity on a decision. And that's where my journey really started, man. And it has grown like
Oh.
exponentially from there.
I was going to say, I've watched you grow. Like you said, you started this journey 5 years ago. I know when you were really getting heavy into it, when you and I first met at the Housing Wire event, it was just like you and I were both in the middle, like in the trenches of this journey. And and again, you and I, we can talk about this here in a minute, but like the struggles that we went through and continue to, like, it's still, people see us and to, the level that we've been able to achieve. Neither of us are where we want to. We want to continue to grow. We want to continue to expand. But at the same time, to get to there, some people are like, oh, they were lucky, or, oh, they did it because this. And it's like, dude, we were grinding. We were showing up. I love that's why it was called show up, hustle, repeat every day. Because you got to show, if you continue to show up, that's when you start to see those results, whether it's in soccer, sports, whatever you do in life, it's showing up in that repetition. But I want to, before we go too deep into this, you mentioned something, and I want all companies in particular to go back. About 2 minutes ago, you said something that I think is so impactful. Because I think a lot of organizations, lenders, companies, fintech, more tech, whatever it is, sometimes they get their brand army, if you will, and they have their employees start posting content for them. But you said something that I think is more relevant than ever before, because we as consumers, if you will, we're becoming more and more savvy to those type of posts, even if it's from an influencer. But you said something that is so impactful. You started to share like team wins. You started to share what was happening on your team. It wasn't so much like, hey, look at XYZ Mortgage, or it wasn't like, hey, look at loanDepot and the great things we're doing. Hey, look at our products. And a lot of companies, and because I talk with so many marketing departments, I see this. They're like, well, we're creating this content for our originators to push out and to share. But I'm like, well, it's salesy. Like when the consumer sees that, it's like, meh. But what you just referenced and how you did it, that's why your brand has become so impactful. That's why people follow you. Is, of course, you're going to share about your company. Of course, you're going to sprinkle that in there. It's not all the time, but it's in a way that is meaningful. It's in a way where you're sharing something that others have achieved on your team or that. And companies do, Brian, and you get this more than anybody. Companies have this mindset, or they have this mistake that they've created. Unless somebody like Brian is talking about us directly, like saying loanDepot, or this or that, they think that they're not being benefited. But I think it's the opposite right now. I think it's this simple, like the true, genuine ways of like sharing whatever, like, again, a team accomplishment or whatever, that's more impactful. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, so I could go totally different directions on this. I'm going to share 3 different ideas you're talking that have come up that are actually practical, that people probably need to know, but they could go implement today, right?
Sweet.
So I was at an event recently, and to not disclose like who was there, I don't want them. And they shared with me, and they said, hey, Brian, like they didn't know what company I worked for. And by the way, these are mortgage people at the event,
Sure,
and leaders and all that. And he made probably one of the best compliments I've heard in a while. He's like, man, I didn't know where you worked. Like I've seen your stuff online. Like I know your brand. And he like, I was kind of looking at who was going to be here. And he goes, I love your stuff. And he goes, and you show up, and like the first night, like I don't even realize you work for loanDepot. And he goes, the next day, you still don't introduce yourself that you work for loanDepot, because I don't lead with that. And he goes, man, like I don't know the people in my market, but you don't strike me like I don't know loanDepot, but your vibe and who you are has me interested in loanDepot. Like, and I wasn't before. That's the power of a brand, of like the individuals. That's why I've taken that up and said, this is my responsibility. This is what I need to do to help further our brand, to attract people that I believe have great ethics and character and coachable, and they're hungry. They want to hustle, right? All these things that are competitive. They want to win. They want to serve their markets. Like, I want people like that because they're going to be attracted to the message. So that was a cool compliment, I'll tell you.
That's awesome.
Like, those are the ones I love because it's you can't even make that stuff up, where he's like, he's probably thinking, yeah, you guys are a call center or loanDepot, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, and then I meet you, which for everybody listening, the power of you should never discount. Like, people do business with people. It just, guys, that is the way that it is. And so what I have learned through my journey, kind of the second part to this, is I made sure, and I've asked questions to kind of have some guardrails around. I'm very conscientious of what I share, why I share it. And I share things that are unique to me, but I also make sure, like, I'm not going out there, and you know this, like, I don't go out there and talk a lot of mortgage talk, because do people really want to hear about that? Like, not my audiences. And so if I go down the loanDepot path, I know people that have told me, Brian, I will tune it out. If you start doing loanDepot, they go, you know what we do like is like a cool story that you share. Or like today, I'm sitting down with 2 of our team members and we're having lunch and we're recognizing their success. They care about that. They'll read the caption. But here's the last one that I will tell you. It takes leaders to step out to create other leaders that are going to create other leaders. And this has been my vision, is I believe this is the way of the future. I'm all in on it. And so I'm going to do it because I need to create other leaders on our team that are also willing to carry this forward in their local market. And then they're going to create other leaders, and they're going to create other leaders. And we create this culture that now we are truly serving our customers, because customers want to connect with us. Then they will decide if they want to do business with us. That's how
100%.
it works. And that is where I just believe this is the way to do it. And it's actually, you know what, Josh, it's a way to enjoy what you do. I don't even consider myself, dude, sometimes people don't even know I'm in the mortgage business. And they realize it and they go, I've got a mortgage question. Awesome. I'm here to help. How can I help?
What you just said, everybody go back and listen to that 3 minutes again, because literally what Brian just said, if you implement that in your social strategy, if you just start to share, again, who you are, if you don't even think about mentioning your company, mentioning that, I'm the exact same way. I learned from my mistakes. I tried going the whole like, hey, this is my mortgage company. This is me. This is me. When I finally set it aside, and I've shared my story many times, when I just became the outdoor LO and was just like, hey, I like to do biking. I like to do hiking. I was sharing the things. Way more people, like, they just were engaging with me. It's what I was passionate about. It was what I was excited about. The fact that you just shared as an executive, like, coming from that place, like speaking, being at these big events with other mortgage professionals, it literally does it. And this is going down to the consumer level as well, ladies and gentlemen. Like, this isn't just like purely trying to like recruit or going in that aspect. We as human beings, we're all programmed very, very similar. So if you're throwing your product out all the time, people are like, oh, of course, he's pitching me again. But there comes a time where we as human beings, we're truly just like, we're inquisitive. We're like, well, wait a minute. I don't know what Brian actually does. Who does he work for? What is it like? And it almost becomes more of a turn, like an attractiveness of like, who is he? Like, what does he actually do? And then we start asking those deeper questions, and it builds such a better trust and respect and a confidence when we come out and build a brand in that way. And again, that's why I tell everybody, if you guys don't follow Brian on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on his different socials, you need to, which that's what I want to pivot to just for a second. I'm going to completely pivot this conversation. You've had a lot of success, Instagram in particular. I mean, you have over 100,000 followers on Instagram, which is absolutely brilliant. You recently made a switch over to TikTok, which I want to talk about. Just like, how has that transition been for you? Again, you have been incredibly successful on LinkedIn. You've been incredibly successful on Instagram. Everybody, like TikTok, and a lot of people say, oh, it's a shiny object. People say I need to be there. How has TikTok been for you?
So I love it, man. It's new. And for me, I'm very intentional. So I had to get clarity of, how does this even fit into what I do, right? Because my daughter's on there, right? She's about to be 15. I'm like, same thing. I go, and then I see some of these guys getting on there and they're dancing, they're doing this, they're pointing to this. Like, okay, again, that's not me. If you saw me out, I'm not a great dancer. So I'm going, well, what is my brand? And I thought about this. If somebody's going to see me on a soccer field, they're going to see me speaking, they're going to see me in a meeting. Like, I'm me, and I'm going to be me. And so I said, I have a message. There's things that I can share about my journey on social. I share a lot of fitness and workout stuff too. Yep. And then I share some leadership lessons, and I share things that I'm learning, like maybe a book, it may be a speaking engagement. And I realized, like, I started to find my lane as I started to do that. And so TikTok, I'm excited because it's very organic for me right now. I don't spend a lot of time on it. I'll post some things that I'm using on other platforms. We'll usually add a little bit of music because I love music. So it adds a cool vibe to it. I'm excited this year. I'm adding TikTok and then YouTube. We're going to do some short form content on YouTube just because I've created it. I just didn't understand them. And for
Sure.
everybody, like a lot of times we're just afraid we don't know. And so I actually hired out a PR firm. I'll just tell you, like, and I said,
Nice.
guys, can you come teach me? I need to run my life and my job, my team. Like I need to focus over here. But if I invested, I know the return, the ROI on me investing in my brand on these platforms, massive. So I said, can you help me? And so we started, Josh, we're early on the journey. So everybody watching, watch my journey. The TikTok you see of Brian today in a year from now will be the same as when I got on Instagram. I didn't know what the heck I was doing.
Dude.
And then I started to figure out some things. Like I'm just putting it all out there and sharing. The other day I did a video. It was the Entrepreneur magazine. I got featured. Yeah. And so one of my folks on my team said, you should talk about the article real quick. So I grabbed my iPhone, you know me, go out by the pool in the backyard. I go, hey guys, super excited. I just checked off one of my big goals that I had was I wanted to get featured in Forbes and Entrepreneur and write some leadership and more like personal development articles where I've learned, dude, I just shared that. That was it. You know, I'm just being me. And I hope it'll inspire other people to go, what is it I want to do in my life? Doesn't have to be those goals, but they need to get on there. So dude, I'm excited. It's early innings for me on those platforms.
Oh my gosh, dude, there's so much you just talked about that I want to like unpack here for a minute, because the fact that you did it, again, you've had the success that you've had, but the fact that you still just grabbed your iPhone, you didn't set up a production studio, you didn't jump in studio, but you just grabbed and like, you just did your thing, which I guarantee, again, people love that organic nature of it. People love to see that there's not lights and cameras and it's all like glitz and glamour. It's just like, that's Brian. That's who he is. Like, there's no editing there. It's just, it is what it is. And it's just going with it. So many people, I think sometimes they do get the wrong impression, because sometimes they do see, you and I both have very curated content. Like this is we have the lights, we have a nice camera set up. Both of our pictures are very clear. We're both using high definition cameras here, but there are other times, and you probably agree with me as much, that the organic content that you and I are just out by the pool or doing whatever, those ones hit. Like those ones just seem to do way better. They seem to do like people just, again, because the majority of people, they can relate to that. They can get it. They're like, like I don't have the camera. I don't have the studio, but everybody's got an iPhone. Everybody's got a phone that they can do this with. But I want to dive a little bit deeper into something else you said too, because there's so much of this journey that you've gone on that, again, you've just kind of learned as you went. You're just like, I'm picking up this. Again, like me, you're a practitioner. You see something, you try it, you find out if it works. I'm like you, I'm not a good dancer. My little girl is like yours. She's only 10 now, but she's like, Dad, let's do a TikTok together. I'm like, baby, I'm not a good dancer. Like, that's not me. Like, if I try to do that, like, it may be fun for one or two, but like, that is not me. And so like, that's just not going to work. But you continue to stay you, but now you've got to this point, and again, people are going to get this, and I love that you shared that you've actually reached out and you've hired a PR firm. You have somebody who can help get you to that next level. Once you get somewhere, you have to surround yourself with the right people, or even have somebody help you, because you're like, hey, I'm here, I've got to this point, and now I need somebody who's even more of an expert than I am, who can help me get to that next level. The fact that you mentioned that, like, because there are so many people who are like, well, I got to this journey, I did it all by myself. It's like, no, you like, nah, like there's no way. Like, so I love that. And the fact that you've made that, and you have to invest in yourself. The fact that you mentioned that, you're like, I know this will pay dividends down the road. Like, yes, I'm spending time and money and resources in working with another company to help me get there. But I know that every dollar I'm spending right now, that's going to help my brand exponentially grow. And I'm just going to be able to, like you said, reach a wider audience, impact more people's lives. Like, when did you realize that you had hit that plateau? I don't want to say plateau, because you continue to grow, but when did you realize you're like, hey, I need somebody I need other people's help. I need help with YouTube. Maybe it's not my forte. Maybe it's not where I'm best at. When did you realize you're like, I'm at that point?
So for me, and it's actually a book we're writing. I'll just kind of put a little plug in for that.
Oh, let's go.
Yeah. So, and they're helping me with that. And I started to figure out, what is my hourly rate? What's my time worth? And you and I both, like, we share this. Like, I love my 3 kids. I love to go to their games. Like, I love to hang out and have date night with my wife. Like, I don't want to be working. And I started to see, to stay at the level I was and to reach people, it was starting to pull away my time, which my time over here makes me more money. And it was a very simple equation of, if my hourly rate, just use it's $100 for easy numbers,
sure,
and I can hire somebody out for $25 an hour to do the activities on the editing and to take a video and go, cool, this is going to be the clip we use, or take a podcast and they cut out a couple clips. Game over.
Makes
Like I
sense.
have now compounded, exponentially grown my time. And I've done this as I've scaled businesses, or like even at loanDepot. I think about as we've grown our team, as we've grown, you've got to promote people into other roles and go, cool, I'm going to let you run with that. You're better at that than me. I'm going to go do this. So I took that knowledge and expertise and I hired them. Here's where the biggest shift happened last year. I'm in a meeting in Nashville and I'm listening to a speaker and he's talking about these things. And I'm going, wow. And he's worked with some big name celebrities. So in all fairness, I'm looking at it going, okay, he's worked with people that I'm nowhere near where they are, but I would like to learn from them. He's clearly got the expertise, has the experience. And I even asked him a question. I go, look, what would you do with somebody that has like entry level kind of brand, but they want to grow bigger? And he goes, really simple. We'd get clarity on your brand. We'd spend 90 days. We'd work through all of these things. He laid out a format, literally, Josh, in less than 60 seconds. And I go, done.
Whoa.
Done. And I was like, here's the worst that could have happened. 90 days, I invest the amount of money that I invested. I leave, I have clarity of my brand, who I am, where I want to go, how I'm going to get there, what mediums I'm going to use. Come on. Like, I don't have that clarity. I don't have anybody in my life today that's helping coach me through that. Well, of course, what happens is after that, I have clarity. Now you'll start to see those that have been following me, or you go look, you'll start to see the shift that's been happening over the last 6 months, which is really where this was birthed out of. And that is going to grow. It's like a coach. I hired somebody very intentional. This is the area I want to get better at. This is why I want to get better. Well, guess what? This helps me be a better communicator, better speaker. Now that I'm speaking on some stages, I want to write a book. I want to help my team. I want to communicate messages, right? Like I want to be even going to my kids' sports games. Like, guys, these are transferable skills. Like I think we look at it so monoline, and I go, no, I'm the product. I got to invest. And I will just put this out there, Josh. People don't talk about it. You need to be looking at about a 10% number of your gross income, period. You need to be investing in yourself that amount of money. Try to out-invest yourself. And I've gone back. I was like, I was playing small. I was like, oh, I'm going to go to that conference, $2,000. That's my thing for this year. To everybody, I did personal development. That ain't personal development, straight up. You need to be intentional about your growth. No one else is going to come do it for you. And when I got serious about it, I'm not going to say all the results, but I will just tell you our team is having a record year. I feel great about what I'm doing. I've created a life that I enjoy.
Oh my gosh.
And so that, come on, like that for me, that's priceless.
Dude, I mean, throwing those numbers, nobody talks about that. The fact that you're talking about it and you're saying that, and I think that is absolutely brilliant. I think sometimes we see it, especially in mortgage and real estate and some of the industries that you and I are close to, is we'll see these people, like you said, they'll spend, I spent $2,000 and I went to this one event, like, congratulations, this is it. Like we did it. And it's like $2,000. Like, okay, how much do you make every single year? How much are you actually investing back into yourself? Sometimes we are so about, we're investing in our business, but we, especially as entrepreneurs and all you mortgage professionals out there, you should be looking at your business as a business owner. Are you investing in yourself? Are you getting yourself right mentally? Something you even mentioned deeper than this, where I truly, for everybody listening, you said this word, probably, I want to go back and count it now, probably 8 to 10 times on this, but you said clarity, the word clarity. I don't think people understand how crucial, how critical, having clarity in what you're doing, why you're doing it, why you're creating these videos, why you're creating content. Me and Brian we could talk about building a brand and the importance of it and creating content for days and days on end. But if you truly don't understand, like if you don't have a clarity for yourself of why and what you're doing, it's all for naught, Brian, because eventually, like you said, you and I actually enjoy this now. I love you and I sitting here having a conversation, sharing the value that we are. I love this. Like, this is something I truly, truly enjoy doing. Some people may not. Like, maybe this isn't their forte. Maybe this is not for them. But if you don't understand that, if you don't have that clarity right out the gate, this becomes a job. This becomes something that it becomes very, very quickly. You get burnt out on it. You don't enjoy doing it. And that's why so many people, especially companies, they say social media doesn't work. The ROI of social media is terrible because they don't have the clarity in what they're trying to achieve.
Yeah. So I take it a step further. I went through this exercise, and clarity was really my word for 2022. And for many years, I had allowed a lot of people to define what success was for me and my family, like how much you earn, what house you live in, like, what your job title is. Like, dude, I've battled all those demons. And guess what? On the other side of that, freedom, when I put pen to paper and I started to really define, and with Nicole and I both, like, what does success look like for us? Like, what are the things that we value? And you start to pull in your priorities. You do a values exercise. And I defined what success looks like. Nobody can tell me I'm successful or not successful. I know what success looks like for me and my family. And when you have that clarity around that, it will drive your decisions every day and the choices you make between just simply, I'm a person that values my health, right? Because I want to be around for a long time with my kids. Well, I'm not somebody that just works out. No, like I'm someone that I said I'm going to remain in this lifestyle of doing this. I'm someone that said I'm going to build other leaders that build other leaders. When you get clarity on who you are and what you can do in the world, I'm just telling you, it is another level of fun. And the people that will come into your life, when you start to actually live in congruence to this and you have alignment, the amount of opportunities outside of mortgage, which Josh, nobody talks about this, is like now I have invested in other businesses and companies that I love that they're not always mortgage, real estate. But man, you learn and you get to connect with great humans.
Oh,
That I just say, like life isn't meant to be. If somebody were to look and go, man, Brian was a great mortgage leader, if that's all they could say about me, that would be pretty weak. I didn't. I failed. Like,
dude, you truly gave me goosebumps right there, because sometimes we get so like, and I talk about laser focus, but this industry in particular, sometimes it is all mortgage all the time, all real estate all the time. Like I've started to brand, I'm with you. Like I have other passions outside of mortgage. Yes, I love doing this. Like this is our, like we have dedicated ourselves to this industry doing what we love, but that doesn't mean we don't have other passions. That doesn't mean we have other companies we're investing in, other things that we want to invest our time and like focus on. Like that is, you and I could probably spend an entire episode on that alone, because I think it is not shared. I don't think it's discussed in this industry.
Nope.
Sometimes we have leaders who are like, no, you got to stay in the grind all the time. It's like, whoa. Like I understand to a certain extent, like all in, but there's so much more. There's so much more to this. And like you said, you've gone out and personally, like the personal development wise, I don't want to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. I may get a little flack for this, but sometimes we hear the same shit over and over and over in this industry by the same. And again, not to say we don't have incredible leaders, but sometimes we just get stuck on repeat here. The fact that, and I've seen it, you are true. And I said this in the beginning, and I mean every freaking word of it, is you're one of those guys that I love following. And I consume as a consumer of your content, because you can tell there has been other people who have impacted your life, other groups, other like that is just so much more than just our little industry, than just our little world that we seem to stay in so very, very much. So I thank you. Like I'm grateful for you and for your willingness to invest in yourself, because I know when I'm watching your content, when I'm consuming it, I'm going to become a better person. So there's so much you and I can continue to go with. We've surpassed our 30 minutes. I want to be respectful of your time, but again, there's way more conversation that I have a feeling that you and I are going to get into.
Yeah.
I especially want to come back to that conversation of like, there's more than this. There's more than this industry. Like that's a whole nother conversation. So, but before we do, as a surprise, I don't tell anybody this. That's why it's my favorite part of this show. I don't know. This is a pretty deep show, guys. This is one that you're going to have to go back and listen to time and time again. There's so much value. But as we end every single show, Brian, like I said, this is a surprise to you. We end every single show with our good interview deck from our good friends at Podcast, not sponsored by them. Guys, if you're looking for fun things to do and get to know people in a different way, the pod deck does a great job with this. So Brian, I'm going to end with a couple of random questions. We just pick a random card from this. So let's get to know Brian a little bit deeper in ways that we weren't expecting. So, okay, random card here. Card number 1. Oh, this is a fun one. What do you keep on your desk or workspace area that boosts your mood?
Oh, I got a random sign made that I will show you. Some of my friends got. It's funny.
Huh.
Mr. Brian, but it has GSD.
Get shit done?
Yep.
Let's go.
Let's go. Like, I mean, I had that sitting there. It was some of my wife's best friends. They bought that as a joke for me. I'm like, dude, that motive. I'll look down sometimes. I go, GSD, let's go.
Dude, that is awesome. Oh my gosh. Next time I see you, I'm going to tag you in a post, hashtag GSD with Brian. That's freaking awesome, dude. I love that. See, guys, just something little, but that's what it is. Like, it doesn't have to be something crazy. It's just something like that. So I love it. Okay. Question number 2. This is actually interesting. Who was the best boss that you ever had, and what made them the best? I don't know. Like there's one in particular, maybe somebody that stood out to you. You talked about coaches earlier. Like, maybe even that. Who's somebody that's been a mentor, a boss to you that really has impacted your life?
So I'm going to go with my dad.
I love it.
And here's why is like, he was with me in my early ages, and fortunately he's still alive today. And he was a pastor for a while, and he's now a psychologist, and had gone through like my hard work, my work ethic, my integrity and character, like the DNA. My dad is like one of the absolute best human beings on the world, and I'll try not to tear up, but I'll just say like, wow, like my dad, like the impact he has had and the legacy that will carry through me, like he's just, man, special to me. And then a lot of my friends, those of you know that dad that was like the encourager and the one that was always kind of like that was my dad. He was the one that just always showed up.
Dude, that's amazing. So this is really interesting. And this one, everybody who knows me knows, like, I call my dad Boss. I don't know how, like, that was the nickname for him. That as a little kid, he had a nickname for his dad. And then I don't know how it even came to be, but one day, like, me and my brothers, like, we call my dad Boss. Like, that's our nickname for my dad. And like, even like people in our community, it's become this joke. It's like, oh, where's the boss at? And my dad has been my best friend through thick and thin. But I agree with you. Like, he's
That's
been
awesome.
that person for me that is just always like, times are tough, like whatever it is. And a lot of people know that me and my dad, my mom, our family, we live together. We live on our ranch together, and I absolutely love it. I love have him spending time with the kids. But I agree with you, man. Like, family's everything, and my dad has been one of those for me. So, okay, question number 3 as we wrap it up. What is one thing? Oh, this is deep for you. This might be go. What is one thing you wish you'd spent more time doing when you were younger?
Ooh, wow, that is I intentionally live a life that I say no regrets, because there's a lot of things that have happened in my life that I believe they happened for a reason. You know, I would probably go down the path of more vacations. On the personal side of, I wish I'd traveled more. I did that quite a bit as a soccer player, but I realized, like, when we started having kids and I was all in the business and all that, there's probably a good stretch of 10 or 15 years. And we just didn't travel a lot, probably because we didn't have any money in the beginning either. But I mean, let's be real. I look back at that. There's a lot of really cool places and cool people. And then the second one, from a real tactical standpoint, is, you know, so many homes we've owned, and in the real estate side, I got to put the plug, is, man, I wish I had been more educated and understood how to keep those as rental properties and like built up some wealth through that. I started later in the game. And so I'm playing a little bit of catch up in some of those areas. That'd be the two. That'd be the two
Dude,
areas.
I love that. Travel's one of those. I'm the same way. It's funny that you mentioned like money and travel. My kids, like, we've done some of the fun vacations and done this and that, but some of the, like, you know, I'm a big outdoorsy guy. My kids, some of the favorite vacations, like, hey, just hooking the trailer up, heading up to the mountains, and just spending, like, doing a little travel like that. I agree with you. Just spending time with family in a different setting than just home or whatever it may be. I think that's brilliant. I like that you got tactical too there. Like, we've all made decisions and business decisions, but I'm sure we've all made it like, oh, maybe we should do a little bit more of this. So, Brian, I cannot thank you enough for joining me today. This has been truly one of those episodes that is going to impact people's lives, is going to change people's lives. And I know that's something that you've dedicated your life to, not just in the mortgage industry. You have such more profound impact, and you're changing lives. So cannot thank you enough, man, for being here and sharing everything you have.
My honor, man. Like, I love doing life with guys like you. Like, you're making an impact, and that's this collective impact that we get to make together. That's what it's about. So, man, I appreciate you and just having me on to share. And I do believe this will help people. So
Yeah.
let's go.
It will, dude. Let's freaking go. I absolutely love it. GSD, people. That's what we're going to end with there. So, guys, as always, we appreciate you guys joining us. We'll love you. Every single Tuesday, you can get another episode. And again, if you got value out of this, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and go follow Brian. Really, truly, I mean this. We'll put all of his Instagram, his TikTok, all of his different handles in the comments below. Go follow Brian. Follow him daily. Well, I do. Like I said, and I mean this, I consume his content, and it continues to inspire me, and I know it will inspire you. So with that, guys, as always, we appreciate you. We love you. Now it's time for all of you to go shred, go show up, hustle, repeat every day. See you guys. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much again for joining us on another episode of Brand+Shred. I hope you got as much value out of this episode as I did. And if you did, make sure you hit that subscribe button below so you don't miss a single weekly episode with the incredible guests that we're bringing you to help you build your personal brand. Click that subscribe button, share, and even leave a comment. We appreciate you. We look forward to seeing you next week on another episode of Brand+Shred.